Hey, welcome to Gong Jiao Wei, episode 5. So, today we are going to talk about some heavy topic
whether or not actually heavy, don't know or not lah.
I think
this
skimming
one
the
can
surface only lah.
can lah. This one quite heavy lah.
Doesn't sound
correct.
very jiao wei if it's heavy.
Hey, who is this? Who is this talking?
We're doing introduction
this is
Okay.
Dixon. He has introduced himself. Hi
Hi.
Dixon, do you want to introduce
You want to
yourself?
salute?
Hi, I'm Dixon. I'm a sad boy.
Hey,
My beer almost come out of my nostril.
why you sad, bro? Who bully you?
Who bully? Your
Everybody lah.
girlfriend leave you, is it? You lose 10 game in Dota, is it?
League of Legends too toxic, is it? The community.
Yeah, all the time.
Jokes aside,
Okay, yeah.
jokes aside.
Yes.
We posted out an image earlier last week about whether or not mental illness is a real medical condition or not. And some people, they did say it's a dumb question whether or not it is, but
Triggered.
triggered as fuck, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, my dad would say just go to church and then like all's well.
Wait, seriously?
Yeah.
Damn.
Okay. Yeah,
Okay.
there you go.
Right.
There are people out there who still think, mental illness is not a medical condition. And some people play it down to, like
It's all
somebody
in your
bomo
head.
you,
Yeah.
somebody
Right,
cast a
or-
spell, put the spirit in the bottle and like ask them to haunt you.
Oh yeah, like
So-
even worse shit, it's karma. You done bad stuff in your previous life. That's why you're suffering now, or some horse shit like that.
Right? Yeah, so we are here to start the fucking conversation that we didn't mention. We're gonna start. And the first off, I want to say that there's no such thing as a dumb question when it comes to mental health,
Yeah, man.
because there are people with varying degrees of knowledge on what mental illness is and whether or not they are exposed to it, their friends are affected by it, their family members are affected by it, or they've even heard of such a thing. And yeah, people have different understanding of it. And if you keep pushing the narrative that people ought to know about it, you're coming from a place of you knowing more than them, and how are you gonna educate them if you're coming from that standpoint?
Yeah,
Yes.
and like Dixon mentioned, how your dad would simply say, "Go to church, pray it away."
Yeah.
It's a lot about that generation or different generations, trying to grasp this idea of mental illness. And I mean, if you do look at the older generation, quite a number of them have this very dismissive attitude towards it. They don't really believe that it's real, or back in my day it was way worse, man, kind of shit we had to deal with and this and that. And it's a problem because they're not really able to relate to the generation right now. And I mean, if you look at us, right, and we look at the kids now, depression rates are way higher amongst children. And sometimes you like, oh, but during my time it was lagi worse, man, the bullying lah, the homophobic slurs and all that. Now it's way more progressive, right? Shouldn't things be better? But the point is, we can't relate, because it's a different environment, right? And we have no idea how or what they went through or what they're going through. And so it's kind of, it's just non-relatable. And to bring your perspective in like that, it's bound to have some level of conflict or disbelief come in. Yeah.
I think to add on
that's
to
one of
that,
the-
also, because of social media, how we are so connected, everyone can voice their views anytime they want.
Right.
And, whenever someone shows an aspect of their life and people judge them on it, it gets communicated directly and very quickly to the person. And because of the share button, everyone would know about it. And it there's like an amplified effect on the ugly side of things.
Right. Yeah, and back to dismissive attitudes. There's this page that I follow called Cheerful Nihilism, right? And there was this meme
That's
that
ironic.
they posted. Yeah, and I love it. I mean, you all should definitely follow it. It's a pretty awesome page. So yeah, the meme is choose your fighter, mental health advice. Then you see 6 pictures of different people, and then it reads, "It's not so bad. You have a great life." Then the next one, "Hey man, the best antidepressant is being outdoors." Then the next one, "Only Jesus can fill the emptiness inside your heart." Then the next one, "Nothing is wrong. It's in your head. Stop whining. Get over it." And the next one, "I have an amazing product for that. Do you know Sensi?" Yeah.
What
And
what's
and
What
that?
is
I,
Sensi?
I guessing it's some, I mean, it's scent C. Like I guess it's some product related to like aromatherapy that can
Okay.
supposedly help with depression and all that, or people that push that agenda. And then the last one is, yeah, things are pretty bad for me too. Did I tell you about Sherry? Right, so it's the, I mean, so you get all these different, responses which basically dismiss the idea that mental illness is real, or that, that whole point of us posting that picture is to show that there are many people out there that don't realize the seriousness of it, that kind of dismiss it as something fake, or that something not worth delving into, right? And instead, people want to talk about religion, their aromatherapy products, their their own problems that they are facing in life, as opposed to actually listening to what people have to say. So yeah.
Is a lack of empathy? No, I don't say empathy, or even lack of education. I don't know.
This is just
Perhaps.
a unwillingness maybe to relate
Mm-hmm.
to others and the problems that they are not facing,
Right.
perhaps.
So
Yeah.
across the generations, right? I think this is going to be an issue. Like, it's really strange if you think about it. Mental illness and depression and things like that, it's surging now, right? And if you look at history, right, and things that happened prior to all of this, I mean, we have like Great Depression, World War, Cold War, the entire financial crisis that hit us, in the early 2000s. All these things like never really showed a spike in the number of suicide rates and depression.
Hmm.
uh
Really?
yeah.
They're too
Yeah.
I mean,
busy worrying about surviving than
yeah, I
to.
mean, yeah, that was actually something that I wanted to bring up earlier. Like, you were talking about the previous generation being, I don't know, unaware, ignorant,
Right.
or just maybe just purely unwilling to, I don't know, accept the situation. I mean, I've got a few theories of my own.
Okay.
The first one is that
Please share.
we, I will. The first one is that we just have different, I don't know, expectations from our lives. Maybe, I mean, like what Gisan mentioned earlier. Perhaps, if you were to follow like the sorry, what is it? Maslow's hierarchy of needs.
Maslow's
Maslow.
hierarchy of needs. Yeah.
Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Sorry.
Right. Right.
Yeah, I mean, it was a bit more about, I mean, or at least in our previous generation, in our parents' generation's context, it was a bit more about
The
surviving.
self-esteem. Oh, okay. Right.
It's a bit more about, I don't know, perhaps making enough money to, I don't know, maybe have kids, to get a house, and to just, I don't know, get out of the kampong, kind
Right.
of
Right.
deal.
Make sure
I
the
mean,
kids
Basically,
get fed. Make sure they
yeah,
don't
right.
fucking die.
Yeah. Yeah.
and like right now, and with maybe even the I guess the introduction of the internet, we are so connected to issues that happen worldwide. We are a lot more, I suppose, aware of both the positive and negative things that are going around the world, perhaps a bit
Right.
more about the negative things. And then to add to that, like our, I guess, expectations, or like the perceived value of living is a bit different. And
Yeah.
then yeah, so maybe that's why
I
So
we're
you
just
mean
I get where
living.
you're
to
coming from.
be psychologically fulfilled, to have some sort of social standing in society?
Oh, you mean
Do you
like
mean
for the people, like for our
for
generation,
our
or
generation, because all the basic needs,
right?
they are taken
No,
care
I
of.
mean,
So the next
I'm not
step,
I'm not even. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, that may be it, or it could even be issues relating the bigger more well, I guess you can call it untangible things, like things that do not directly affect us right now, but that are known to be happening. For example, let's talk
Wars
about
going
climate
on.
change. Yeah,
Okay,
wars
climate
going on.
change. Right, right.
Let's talk about the climate change. It's something that
Which is fake, by the way.
You heard
you
it
know,
from him, huh?
Yeah, because you got play red alert, right? You got play red
Uh-huh.
alert, right? Yeah,
I
you know
played it.
okay.
Why?
there's a fucking building you can build that can change the weather, right? That is
Oh
what
shit!
that is what the major governments of the world have built, and they have successfully controlled weather around the world. And they are
Okay,
Right.
pushing the propaganda that there's climate change in order to
I
get
get.
people to subjugate people to their way of their ideology.
Right. Okay.
Yep.
So I guess all those people who are feeling, I guess, depressed or whatever about climate change, all your worries are gone. Be
Yeah,
well.
yeah. That's why I always say you need to wear the tinfoil hat. No matter what you do, just make sure you put on your tinfoil hat. It will protect you from the beams being beamed up into the ionosphere and then smacking down onto the earth, causing all these weather phenomenons. Okay, this is our expert opinion on the subject. I shall not speak anymore.
But we digress. We digress.
Ah, yes, yes. Actually, wait, okay, real shit, real shit. You brought up Maslow's hierarchy, right? Yeah, I really think there's something there.
Yeah. No,
Like,
I'm sure. I'm 100% sure that it's got to do. I mean, the difference in the generational perception of mental
yeah,
illness has got to do with that.
like so, there's this other page that I follow. I know Guy follows it. I don't know about you, Dick. It's called the Woke Salary Man. Have you
Shout
ever
out, woke salary man.
Yeah, that's good shit right there. And in a recent post they made, they talked about the older generation and their fixation on cars and things like that, right? So
Right.
if you do look at Maslow's hierarchy, right? I think okay, survival is definitely one thing lah, because if wars are happening and all that, then yeah, you're now on the bottom two levels of it. You're not anywhere near love and belonging and esteem. You're just trying to fucking survive, right? But yeah, in their generation, I think it was, or the way society was progressing, it was more towards love and belonging and self-esteem. So a lot of that was built upon, given the surge of marketing, advertising, and the indulgence in material wealth. A lot of it was, oh, if I own a car, then I am, haha, right? And so it went on
That
to the
rhymes.
level.
Right. The
Oh
five
yeah,
C's, the
unintended.
status
Yeah,
symbols, the
right.
branded
So that
goods.
that spoke to esteem. But then now you have this new generation of kids that are, parents fairly affluent, right? Our society is doing really well. I feel that all these tiers, right, have been met, and then they are just like catapulted into self-actualization right at the fucking top.
Gen Z,
And
yeah.
yeah, to be thrown to that level at, like, such a young age, yeah, I think it's really shitty and hard to deal with. And yeah, so then on top of that, you mentioned the internet, right? You have this wave of information that's coming
Yeah.
in, some of it bullshit, some of it real. Like, how the fuck do you process that, man? And
Right.
as a kid, or
Could
as a
this
young
be
adult even.
could this be an explanation of why kids seem to be growing up or
Yeah,
maturing at such an early age?
I
Like the
think
more it
I think part
progresses,
of it is, yeah.
right? There's like a theory right there. Room for exploration.
Even like last podcast, right, when we mentioned parenting styles, right? I think parenting styles have a big part to play also into why kids are becoming more and more depressed. If you go back to your helicopter parenting and your snowplow parenting, right?
Right.
These two things that we talked about in our previous podcast, they essentially strip the child away the ability to prepare and preempt for disaster, essentially. So when shit goes down and when they face things that the parents cannot come and helicopter rescue them or cannot snowplow through, then GG, they're now in this pit of despair that they cannot climb out of.
Right.
And we talked about it in the previous time. There are numerous studies showing this issues lead to depression, anxiety, and all that things. So I
This
think
reminds me of a parable that I've heard.
Mhm.
Let me put on my sagely old voice.
Okay.
No lah, I cannot do that. I don't know
Do
how
it.
to. No lah. it doesn't fit with the story. So
Okay, give me the goddamn.
okay, so
parable,
this
man.
kid he came across a cocoon on a leaf, and
Okay.
he saw the butterfly coming out of the cocoon, and he was like, oh, it's so difficult. Let me try and help it, So he peeled open the cocoon to free the butterfly which is inside. And little did he know, after he peeled open the whole thing, the butterfly wasn't fully formed, or rather the wings weren't fully formed. And as a result of him helping the butterfly didn't have fully formed wings and therefore cannot fly away and, start to
Do
get the pollen, do the butterfly things. And I think it applies to this thing that you're talking about.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it
what you're
does.
suggesting is that parents should just
Let the kid die on its own. No, or rather let the kid struggle on its own.
Yeah.
And
And emerge from that cocoon.
Yeah, so they can learn
Beautiful
from
butterfly.
whatever trials and tribulation they are in and emerge stronger from the other side. Yeah, not to go all sagely and well learned, for I have lived a long time on this earth. But yeah, that's my sagely old voice, by the way.
It's a pretty good sagely old voice. So, internet, parenting, Maslow's hierarchy. We got any more theories? I still have one more theory. Kind of related to the internet, but yeah. What's up?
Yeah, the other thing is, I just believe. I mean, we were talking about how, a couple of decades ago, like there were all these like bad things happening, but we just don't see, I guess, mental illness rates skyrocket because of these things. And I just think that one of the reasons could be it's either that, I mean, they are not properly documented,
Right. And I mean, also the field of psychology back then, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, people could be like walking around with
all kinds of.
That time
yeah,
is what,
and
like DSM 0.5.
what
What's DSM?
I don't even know what you're talking about.
DSM 5. Yeah, it's called. It's the
yeah.
Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders.
Yeah.
Okay.
And yeah, so every edition they would classify different classifications as mental illnesses. So I think the most recent one is gaming addiction, I think.
Yeah. They added that in, I think, last year or the year before that. I remember.
It might have been a year before that. And yeah, so every time they have a new edition, they would add new stuff in there.
Yeah. Back to that. It's people like what we're talking about. People could be walking around with chock full of all different kinds of, I guess, mental health issues, and nobody would know or maybe even care. People, I don't know. You were talking about suicide rates not, I guess, being not spiking. I don't know. People could be dying and nobody may know
really
about.
documenting, right?
Yeah,
right.
So yeah, I mean, I really think that there is a lack of proper documentation. So there isn't. Perhaps, I mean, once again, like I'm not an academic on this.
Right. We all
yeah.
教会 one.
Okay, so why you said? Why you said?
Why I said? Cause circuit breaker period ending. I just wish they would continue forever.
Oh, you got your wish, right? Phase 1, Phase 2, Phase 1000 and infinity. I have no idea when this is gonna end, man.
But ended already. What they say June 1st is the end of circuit breaker, leh.
Oh, yo, really?
You're tibai.
No, we just don't jiawei.
I mean, actually, right, even before they announced the phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, right, I was like talking to my mom about it, and then I was like, I don't think this is gonna end like really soon. And in fact, I think it shouldn't. Like, the healthy way to do it would be to let some businesses go back, a bit at a time, so that even if clusters happen, you can isolate it.
So are you
So
suggesting that you
Minister,
should
minister,
become a
material right here.
policy maker sometime soon?
I expert on this thing one. Okay. Yeah, but
Ideologist.
I'm sorry, but you
I
don't
really
have the
felt
paper required.
oh shit. You mean that white paper? Okay, let's go back.
No,
But
later got somebody knock on your door. You better stop it.
bang bang bang. Okay, I stop. I control myself. So I mean honestly, yeah, is circuit breaker like fucking with you, getting you down?
I mean, yeah. I mean, I'm sure it affects
Fucking with
everybody.
everyone, man.
Yeah, I'm sure. Like
Yeah,
just
for sure, for
just
sure.
this afternoon, I was in my room trying to read my book. There were a couple of people across my,
Read your book,
I
are you
guess,
sure?
yeah,
Open and close inverted comma. Read your
Yeah,
book.
you
read my
cannot
book.
see the
Okay, guys,
okay.
yeah, guys, I was quote unquote reading my book, right? And there was just this man, I don't know, just across my block, just shouting and shouting for must have been at least 10 minutes or so. I
What
mean,
was he shouting?
Yeah,
you know,
that's
I couldn't really hear what he was shouting about. It was quite a mess, but it sounded like it was from really far away and it was like really loud. So I'm sure it has its effects on everybody. I mean, like social isolation is
it's a fucking nightmare.
not ideal
Yeah,
Yeah,
man.
to say the
I'm
least.
pretty sure a big percentage, right, of the people who were caught flouting the rule, like they like to use that word, who are essentially unbreaking the circuit breaker. I'm pretty sure
Circuit continuing.
there's some psychological thing, like they
Where
just have
what
to get
if
out the
you
house. They're
right,
like,
if you keep
if they
somebody in
stay if they
isolation.
stay in the house for too long, like they're gonna go fucking crazy, and that's why they go out. And when people approach them and call them out for it, they start to act out. It's like, okay,
Right.
Yeah,
what the worst punishment in prison is called fucking isolation. They lock you up in
Yeah.
a room with no fucking light stimulation, no sound stimulation, no social interactions, and people go fucking crazy because of that.
Yeah.
And right now, that's being played out in, I wouldn't say a grand scale, because you can still go out and like you still have family interactions, but yeah, it definitely has some level of effect, psychological effect.
yeah, but then I mean, like, so then what about the people who are not, let's say, on good terms with their family, or people who maybe live alone for whatever reasons? Then
Right.
I mean, these are probably like the worst sufferers of this circuit breaker.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean it started off, with like memes and jokes about after circuit breaker, then the divorce rate's gonna spike and shit. Like I think it became a reality already, and it's going
I
to become
didn't
a
think it was a joke to
reality.
begin with.
Okay,
Like,
I
Yeah.
mean the intent.
probably, yeah, something masked in a comedy, some
Right.
some some realities of life masked under like a joke or something.
Yeah, for sure.
Hey, speaking of hating the family, or like acting out, you all heard about the Congo stabbing, right?
Oh yes,
Was this the guy who was picking some flowers in one of our parks, and then like when an officer approached him, he went to stab?
Oh no,
Oh
that
no
one
no
is
no.
Is
the
this
Okay,
it?
that's another one. That's another case which highlights the issues that we are facing. With people being kept in their homes for too long, just can't stand it.
go a little crazy.
Yeah, a little bit. But yeah, no, this one was an actual like murder case, man. This dude, this 30-year-old man, I think 30 was it? I'm not too sure of the case. Okay, yeah. This guy was stabbed to death in Pongo. He was just
By who?
jogging.
Punggol lah, Punggol where?
Unfortunately, unfortunately, by a dude that did not seem to have a real motive, right? I mean, when the case came out, The mother was like, oh, he's suffered his whole life with mental issues and mental problems, and yeah,
Oh, so wait,
I,
Dixon, so you didn't hear of the case, ah? So
No, not
it's
really.
a guy who is a jogger,
Okay.
who was running around the neighborhood,
okay,
and
38-year-old man. Yeah,
that's the runner, like that's the jogger, right?
yeah, that's the jogger. Yeah.
Yeah. So he was jogging around the neighborhood and he got stabbed, lah. He got stabbed by a guy who was like came out of nowhere
Mm-hmm.
and
Like no motives.
no motive,
At least not
Damn.
any that the
not towards
police
him,
have
not
disclosed. Yeah,
not towards the victim.
Okay.
right. Yeah.
Okay. And the
So I'm
mother just and the mother said that like he's been dealing with mental health issues since he was a kid.
yeah, like I mean, neighbors in that article which Mothership released, I think, they talked about how neighbors would notice how they all smile and friendly and stuff like that, but then they would hear a lot of shouting, a lot of banging within the household. Yeah, and the mom even said that he's been violent with the family lah, with his siblings. They didn't
So
elaborate further. It's an unfortunate incident, but it was when I saw this come out, right? And then also it was during the period when we kind of posted the the that picture that got flamed a lot about whether or not mental health illness
Right,
is real or
right.
not, right? And then I was it just so happens, coincidence, universe aligned, the stars, I don't know, God speaking to me, Jesus. But yeah, it was I was also watching this documentary at that time called Pazuzu, the Devil I Know. It's a Vice documentary about this killer who essentially changed his legal name to Pazuzu, which, if you don't know, is the demon in The Exorcist, right?
Like, what kind of fuck
The
name is that?
Yeah, it's a demon's name. So I mean, it's a really interesting documentary. It talks about why this individual started killing and all that. And I mean, it's heavy on American, the shit that they are dealing with, the drug abuse and the lack of jobs within towns and things like that. And he was from a town that was like that. He was bullied growing up, and at the start it's pretty juicy, right? You want to find out, oh, who the fuck this guy killed and all that. But towards the later part of the documentary, it actually goes into quite a bit about this individual, his life as a child, the experiences he had, and the people alongside him as well, all his friends, and how they dealt with the situation after he was caught. And he eventually chewed through his own arm and killed himself in prison.
What?
Speaking of which, this dude filed down when he was high on meth. He filed down his teeth to razor sharp points,
yes, and
right?
like what's the purpose of that? Was he gonna eat his
Because he was
victims?
fucking high on meth. That's the purpose of that. I mean, this dude just you know Marilyn Manson, right? I mean, one of
Yeah,
my
yeah.
greatest heroes, super fanboy. Hey, legit, man, dude. I have his autobiography sitting right here, which all of you should check out. It is called Marilyn Manson. That's it. That's what it's called. It's called
That's the name of the book.
Yes, that's the name. Okay, yeah, but anyway, this dude wanted to be like that. Marilyn Manson goes against the whole social norm, right? If you say you believe in Jesus, then I'm gonna believe in the devil. If you
Right.
dress all nice and flowery, I'm gonna put fucking boobs on my fake boobs on my chest
Is
and
he the
look like a
epitome of
freak of nature.
what and being antisocial is?
Yeah, essentially, but just not
Like
embodying the antisocial personality disorder. Like, he's not a fucking psycho, or he's not,
Right.
out there to kill people and things like that. He just wants
just
to
an anarchist
challenge.
Just
or
Yeah,
like
exactly.
a like a,
wants
like an
to go
antagonist.
against the
Yeah,
grain.
yeah, just to go against it, right? So this dude, this Pazuzu guy, did the same exact thing, but this dude was broken and this dude needed help, you know. And so the documentary kind of explores how he changed his entire persona once he hit, I think once he hit 18, right after he finished high school. Then people just lost track of him, but they knew he still stayed there in town, right? And then suddenly this dude Pazuzu popped out and he was doing like fucking. You could go to his house, you could do anything. Like they describe it, the first time you enter this guy's house, right, the smell of shit and piss and everything just hits you, and you can go inside, you can do whatever the fuck you want. You can fuck in a corner, you can shit on the floor, you can smash a bottle over somebody's head. There was absolutely no limits to what you could do there. Shoot however much drugs you want up your system, it doesn't matter.
Sounds
Where
like a
is
Yeah,
this
business idea.
place? Where is this place you speak of?
yeah, I mean, the point of that was that the later parts of the documentary explored how the system essentially failed him. How if this dude had gotten the help that he needed, or that if people who were close to him managed to notice it. I mean, they noticed it, but the problem is the system doesn't allow them to do anything about
Right.
it, right? So I was looking at this whole case, as interesting as it is, but then I'm looking back at our own case. Of course, we don't have a fucking Pazuzu here,
Right.
doing crazy stuff like that. But and I don't want to say that this Pongo guy, is somebody like that either.
That
I'm
sounds like
sure.
you're saying exactly that.
He okay, fine. Um, he's not
Uh-oh.
Pazuzu level, but he is essentially the Singaporean representation of it, right? A dude that had severe mental issues and problems
Okay.
that didn't seek the help that he need, which ultimately culminated in an innocent man's death. Right, this 38-year-old jogger, botai boti, just jogging outside and kena fucking stab and die. Right, I mean, how many of us jog out there, man, and just
I
cycling
mean,
and
I mean, like especially over the circuit breaker
Yeah,
period, right?
so
yeah,
many people out
exactly.
there.
Right. And so like imagine if you was just this person just jogging happy, getting stress relief from your day, and then next thing you feel steel hanging out your back. Like what the fuck, man? How if
So
I
in
I, I
the
can't.
documentary, right? Did
Right.
they go into like the childhood of this guy growing up? Or like, was he bullied? Was he like sexually assaulted? Because that's usually, what triggers
Yeah, I
it
actually found
in
I actually found some interesting parallels as they were exploring it. Like, okay, so first of all, he wasn't sexually abused or anything, but okay, never knew his father, so right off the bat, abandonment issues, right? His mother would well, kind of neglect him. He would see her. I don't know whether she was prostituting herself or not. The documentary doesn't make it clear, but she would see many different men, and this was interviews from the neighbors that used to live alongside Pazuzu and his mother. I think his real name is John. Yeah, John and his mother, and they would they would notice she was always out, always leaving the son with the neighbors, and he was already a bit off, or in a sense, like he was quite a different kid. He would like come to their house dressed up in full vampire get up, embody this darkness. I think it's okay as a
oh,
kid,
not
right?
the
But
Twilight one. I thought
no,
you
the
were
real
talking about the
badass.
Twilight vampire.
Why I smacked the kid,
Smart,
bodoh.
smart pink skin.
Okay.
Yeah, but no, so he would come there dressed as Frankenstein, as vampires. He would go there and like play, strangle them, things like that. So
Play strangle them.
yeah, like what a vampire would do, I guess. Bite your neck and shit like that. I don't know. I don't know lah, how
Sounds
King.
like your kind of vampire, Jeremy.
uh I don't know how many hickeys he gave his neighbors and all that, but yeah lah, it's yeah. So they went into that, and so there was like very unstable, right, upbringing, which is the recipe or the trademark for any form of
I mean,
anxiety,
that's what
depression.
everybody seems to say, right? But I mean,
That's what
I don't.
everybody
I'm
seems to
not.
say.
I don't.
Okay,
I'm not disputing it. I'm just wondering,
right.
like, if that's
Really the case?
yeah, or like
So yeah, do you think that it's fake, or you don't agree with this whole thing that it stems from childhood abandonment and the instability within your
Are there
environment?
that's
are there other causes for it?
well, that's a really tough one. I can't say that I have an answer to that. It's just that it sounds like time and time again. I don't know. I just feel like there are so many possible reasons for somebody to, I guess, have like mental health issues. I mean, I'm gonna guess maybe genetic predisposition is one of them. But then like a lot of people, or like a lot of reports on news articles, like to say that it stems from, I guess, a early childhood trauma or like unstable adolescence.
Yeah.
Um,
Actually, I see by you and I asked you the question,
What?
but I kind of know the answer.
Okay. No, please tell me.
No,
I would like to
so
know.
there's quite a bit of research that I went into, and a couple of psychologists that spoke about this. Some of it I took from this really interesting YouTube channel called Med Circle, MED Circle, right?
Like
And
medicine,
yeah,
like
like
medicine
medicine, that
circle.
med, yeah,
Okay.
med circle. It's just
Not
MED
not
circle.
like MAD circle.
Yeah, that's why I didn't even know that there was such a thing. And then I went to type that, and then it's actually like a skater brand or something, right? Mad Circle. Yeah. But
Okay.
yeah, anyway,
Okay.
there's this Mad Circle. And one of the psychologists mentioned that, yeah, I mean, what you say is exactly right. You know, that it's not like 100%. Okay, yeah, so you can become psychologist next time already
Oh
because
yeah.
own self figure out already. Okay, yeah, but
Yeah.
no, the point is that it's never, 100% always on that, right? On family instability, and likewise, like family instability and all that may not exactly lead to people
Yeah.
with mental health problems, and so it's not a guarantee or cause and effect that we
Yeah.
know of. The other thing they talked about was the biological
Yeah.
predisposition.
Genetic predisposition, right?
Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
So
So then I think like
Mhm.
I
Yeah,
think this
continue.
brings up an interesting point. Like, why do you think people like to blame early childhood trauma for this? Like, are they
Because it's
absolving?
convenient.
I think so. I really think it's convenient and it's something they can see. Like if you
Right.
look at this case and you see, oh shit, this kid parent fucked up, right? Kena sexually abused and all that, then it's like the first thing you latch on to because it's cold hard evidence that you can see.
It helps you
That's
explain
easy.
things.
Yeah.
I
Right.
also
And
think
then
that maybe like it helps absolve society of any kind of responsibility. I mean, not say any kind of responsibility, but then like,
but that responsibility, right?
yeah,
Right.
yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, like
I
it
don't
could
think
jolly well.
it's an intended effect. I think it's a byproduct of their reasoning. I
I
don't
mean,
think
but
that's
if
the
it's in
first
the
thing they
media,
would. That's not the
if
first
it
thing they would think of. Of the society's responsibility of my kid turning out like that.
okay, from
Yeah.
from a personal level, yeah, I feel that that's true. But from a media standpoint, I think that's exactly what the fuck they want to do. Like they
Mm.
don't want to address the fact that society is fucked up, or
Yeah,
that there are societal implications as to why people turn out this way. And they're not going to put it out there. Like SPH is not going to release that information, or not going to put up an article about how our entire system and the way Singapore works has led to an increase in suicide rates or
Is
an
this a
increase in
yeah.
challenge? Is
childhood
this a challenge to SPH?
depression. It is not, but it is what it is. I mean,
It is what it
it's
is.
it's definitely not something that they're gonna put out there to take on that responsibility. No way, man.
I mean, like, okay. To be fair, it's not their responsibility either. I guess you can say that it's the way the decisions made by policymakers, like maybe even decades ago, that like has led to whatever it
The
is
way it functions,
today is
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It is what it is.
It is what it is. That's why I said that, man. Wow, we digress then far. The parallels about Pazuzu and growing up. So bullying
Can I
was also
digress
another.
further?
Yeah, sure, go ahead, man.
Or rather bring it back to the point we were talking about earlier.
So
Okay.
undigress it.
About how when we talk about whether mental illness is a real medical condition or not.
Uh-huh.
Oh, we're back to that point. Okay.
And how people of an older generation, how they don't think it is because they don't understand that, and that's why they have their version of explaining things, because that's how they make sense of things.
Right.
As compared to right here we are using childhood trauma and bullying and whatever to account for people being murderers, being child rapists. It's people's way of accounting for things happening, providing reason, providing closure of even though the closure might be fucked up.
To what? Oversimplify.
Not oversimplify, but to find a reason.
Right. But okay, Okay, I get that, right? That will make sense. But then, like, what if they're just denying it outright? You know, like saying shit like it's just all in your head, right? Then how is that like closure, or how is that,
Closure
you
for
know?
them. It might not be closure for the victim, which
Okay,
which
right,
is
right,
more important now, because that's the
right,
person
right.
who's directly affected by it. Yeah. So where do we need to undigress this to?
The other parallel that I noticed about Pazuzu. So growing up, right, he had hygiene issues, and so he was bullied a lot. And they used
I
to call
feel
him
personally
what?
attacked by this.
This one, yeah, yeah. This one, I also attack you constantly about. Yeah, no, they used to call him third boy
Oh
and
shit.
shit like that in school. Yeah,
Shit like that, yeah.
shit like that.
Shit
But
like.
okay, yeah, but the point is, he actually embodied that, right? He found arousal and power from filth. Like he would deliberately have the place like smell of shit. People could piss anywhere they want, right? He wouldn't bathe, and like essentially he actually believed, like, I mean, he did satanic worship. He started off with like sacrificing little animals and drinking blood. Like the documentary opens up with one of his friends, right, just sitting down and talking about some shit they did, and this dude does like, oh, we just hang out, drink a lot of booze, shoot up some drugs, and yeah, from time to time we cut birds and drink their blood. He just did it in the most casual way. I was like, what the fuck is this? So this dude, he kind of embodied that part that he was bullied about, being filthy, being dirty, and he kind of turned it into a power almost. I mean, not an actual
And
power.
an identity.
Yeah,
Right.
an
Yeah.
identity to embrace it and to become all about it. He was, yeah, he was known for that, right? The filth and the degradation gave him that power.
He was owning it.
Essentially that, yeah. So yeah, that's just the few things I noticed going into that documentary. I hope our Pongo friend, that dude,
I hope it's not that
isn't.
serious.
Yeah, I hope it's not at that level, and unfortunately this had to happen, and somebody had to die, and
Wait, speaking of which,
right.
what happened to him? How are they gonna charge him or what?
They caught him 5 days after the murder, and he was officially charged. No, he'll be back in court on June the
So
5th.
so like there's not been any sentencing or anything yet.
Not
No,
yet.
not yet. We'll only find out on
You
June
know,
5th.
I wonder what he'll get from this.
Oh
Like,
yeah, so there was quite a bit of social media talk
Coverage.
about this, yeah, and people were going at the idea of, can he use mental illness to get out of the death penalty?
It's not about getting out of the death penalty and all, right?
Yeah, but some of them were damn adamant, because like, so the mom, right, when
adamant
they
about
interview,
what? Right.
adamant about the fact that he's not
Right.
mental, or that he's not really, he knew what he was doing, that they can prove premeditated murder. And yeah, and then they were talking about issues like, he clearly brought a knife out of the house, and
I mean, even if it was premeditated, it doesn't mean that it's not due to.
mental illness, right? I
Yeah.
also don't know how this
Right.
works. I'm not a lawyer, so no idea if like you can prove that there was premeditation, or if mental illness will, circumvent that or overpower that. I have no idea, man, how this shit works.
Is
But
it
yeah, I know there
subjective?
was it could be. I
Can
really don't know.
any lawyer people out there
I think
maybe
Yeah,
he
just
can get away with it if he's Chinese. But because he's Indian, I think he's gone already. Like no hope already.
race car, right? GG.
Confirm one, confirm
Yeah.
one.
Hey, there were some social media posts out there also linking racial stuff to people being fined, right? It was like
is it?
Oh
oh,
yeah. For
the
for
foreign,
breaking this
yeah,
circuit breaker thing.
the circuit breaker thing, right? So,
group
like,
of expatriates at Robertson Quay. They were gathering there, drinking beer, whatever, out in the open in a big group. I think they only got off with a warning.
yeah.
Yeah, and
Like,
then
we're talking about like 20 plus people, they were sitting all over the place, clearly like just not giving a fuck.
right.
Right,
And then what's the
right.
other group that got like? I know the 3 guys who went to Ubin and camped
Yeah, okay,
out.
they got fucked for that.
I recently saw I think on Facebook about this girl who got charged for breaking or rather like flouting the circuit breaker rules for meeting her boyfriend at like 3 a.m. At Void Deck, and this lady was Indian, and then
Okay.
I mean I don't really know what her sentence is, but sounded like it was more than just a warning.
Is it the 30-year-old
Yeah.
Renuka Arumugam? Yeah.
So is there
Yeah.
is there
With three other males, they were all charged. Yeah.
so is there
So
a
correlation?
comparable offense, and then they got away because of race?
Or is it because, those were important members of society and therefore they were pardoned? I don't know. I'm lost for words.
It's hard for us to speculate anything.
Yeah, I mean,
And we don't
can't
want to
really
speculate
fucking
anything.
tell. Yeah. It's a gray area.
Right.
I don't know what the fuck
Wait.
went down.
So going back to this boy from Pongo.
Right. Right.
You did mention the mom said like he's been behaving
Struggling
out of
with
sorts
mental
and
problems.
struggling
Okay.
with. Is there proof that he was getting help for it, or was it
No,
like
that's-
she knew about it and then she didn't do anything about it?
That's all speculation. That's the thing, right? We really don't know any more details because the family didn't want to disclose anything else also.
Right.
I mean, I guess it would make sense not to also, in the court of law and all that, right? You don't want to say too much. I don't know, I guess, right? If they got a lawyer, to deal with this. So yeah, unfortunately no other news or information has
Right.
been released about this.
Mm.
Yeah, and I think with regards to murder cases, normally it's gag order. I don't think the media will cover much about it other than the sentencing and all that. We're not gonna get,
Right.
family's viewpoint on this. I don't
Much
know.
juice.
Yeah,
Then
not
okay,
much
then
juice.
it goes back to the whole social stigma of not being open about mental illness,
Right.
or rather in society people tend to choose to not reveal things about mental illness.
No, but then again,
for
I mean,
fear
like, so
of getting judged, right?
Yeah.
Sorry,
for
what were you
fear.
gonna say?
So you were saying that the family didn't. So you were thinking that maybe the family didn't want to reveal because they were afraid of being judged. Was that what you're saying?
I think not exactly, right?
that, but
Not
okay,
the family, right?
not we don't talk about this case, or just people revealing about themselves that they have mental illness, or are not feeling that well psychologically. People don't tend to talk about it, do they? They don't, right?
Well, that's I guess we wouldn't really know. Because if they don't tell you, you wouldn't know, right? I mean, that's
Yeah.
that. I can say that I think maybe at least personally, like I'm quite open about it. Like I'm not gonna be like, hey everybody, introduce myself and like I am, I have some anxiety disorder or whatever. But if it comes up, like it will be discussed. I also have a couple of friends who I guess I'm a bit closer to, who would tell me about stuff. I mean, like Jeremy, you bring it up quite often as well.
Yep.
So
Definitely.
but then again, of course, there's no way to know if like somebody is seeing specialists, getting help for this and not telling others about it.
Right. Yeah, I mean, because of that social stigma, because like if you have a virus, right, and then you're like, okay, I get a vaccine shot, good to go, man. And then if you have a bacterial infection, it's like antibiotics, I'm fine, man. But then if it's like mental illness, and then I'm seeing a psychologist, what? You're seeing a who? A what? And then this fucking
Why
thing.
are you not in a straight jacket? Why are you not locked up in a padded room? Huh?
Yeah.
Huh?
well, are your four walls closing in? What's happening, man? So like people, they get really fucking crazy. I think people are more crazy than crazy people. Does that make sense? Quote from Jeremy Matthew 2020. Okay, yeah, but they get really concerned and hyped up and awkward, obviously, sometimes. And I think, yeah, it's mainly because it's something that hasn't been spoken of it's new, kind of, right?
You know,
It's
yeah,
mm,
sorry, please go ahead.
yeah, no, it's something new that not many people have spoken about, that there's no social norm in that sense to kind of speak about these things. But amongst groups of friends and all that, right? Like our whole crazy bunch and all that, we don't mind talking about, oh, we're seeing this psychiatrist now, and I'm seeing a shrink now, and blah blah blah,
Mm.
right? Even if you don't have a mental illness and you're seeing a shrink, I think that's a damn healthy practice that everybody needs to fucking do. But yeah, it's a
Right.
social stigma,
I
right?
wonder if it's a
That's
norm though.
just
I would like to put out a poll to whoever is following
to
us.
see how many people
Yeah,
visit
just
like shrinks
not
and
not not visit, but
talk about
or
their
like yeah,
problems.
how openly do you talk about
Okay.
this?
You
I
know,
wonder
it's
if
it's
it's
interesting that you,
quantifiable.
Jeremy. It's interesting that you brought up the point. Your quote just now. People are crazier than crazy people. Because like I like we were supposed to be talking about this evening, and then I guess like over the past couple of days I've been thinking about what exactly is mental illness, and like what how do you define it.
Right.
And like I'm just thinking from the point of view of a person, let's say, suffering from anxiety and or depression about, let's say, the bigger world issues, like things like war, famine, and whatever, and
Right. Right.
the let's not say gender inequality, let's say
Income
income gap, yeah,
Income,
Yeah.
income
yeah.
gap and stuff like that.
Right.
Then like it seems to those people who see these things and get upset and feel hopeless, that the people who do not see them or feel for it are the ones that are actually have these
Crazy.
mental health issues. Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I mean, actually, there's some truth in that also, because honestly, if you view this world right without any form of empathy to each of these little things, right, then yeah, you're basically dealing with antisocial personality disorder, right? You're
Right.
either you're looking at narcissistic personality disorder, you're looking at psychopathy, dealing with sociopath and psychopaths, right? Key difference being that psychopaths are more genetically engineered. In that sense, they are more they're
More genetically engineered.
I mean, they're born
Wow.
that way, not that they've been
Predisposed.
Right.
created. Okay,
Okay.
they're wrong word there, wrong word there.
Unless you breed it in, you have like two parents who have history of
selective selective breeding for psychopaths. Hmm.
US, you might want to look into that after your MK Ultra program. This might be something you're interested in. But yeah, it seems that most psychologists suggest that a psychopath is somebody that's kind of born that way, but a sociopath is made to be that way. And again, there are many different reasons why they may, traumatic childhood, blah blah blah, and all that kind of
so
stuff.
is
And
Joaquin Phoenix's Joker both?
you could suggest that it's both, or you could just suggest that he's a psychopath, because his mom originally dealt with that, and then he was born, but then
No,
at the
but
same
also, I
time,
mean, he was
yeah, he was
He was
brought
fucking
up in
socialized
like a
wasted.
bad place, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
really
that's
bad,
why
man.
I'm asking if it could be both for him.
So yeah, I guess this would I don't think we can, or psychologists can't really answer this question right now until we are able to isolate that gene, or that sequence of genetics that actually result in something like that, something like being a psychopath. But yeah, sociopaths are, it's something that can happen if the right circumstances call for it, if you're placed in the right situations. It's all wrong situations at the wrong time, by the way, and then you eventually have to deal with being a sociopath, where you lose empathy. Yeah, you basically, and this is why like American Psycho is such a brilliant film, because it looks at how all these high end professionals, right, in your Wall Street and in your
In your
CEOs
certain
of
way.
multi your CEOs of multi-billion air corporations, right? And how they essentially can just go into a place and then they're like, I'm gonna cut off all these people from here. I'm gonna cut this, cut that. Everybody's gonna be out of jobs. These bunch of people are gonna kill themselves because they can't feed their families. I don't give a fuck. I don't feel anything for them, and they don't. Right? I mean, they're obviously not gonna say all these things, but they don't. They don't
Right.
feel anything for what they're doing and the ramifications that their actions have, because that's what antisocial personality disorder is about. And yeah, that's the scary thing, and
Sounds like
it's,
the easier way to live,
yeah,
though.
right, it's not pain, right? You don't
Yeah,
really have to care about emotions.
yeah.
You are only concerned about your own,
Is this?
well-being and your own emotions, right?
Do you think this
But
is institutionalized in Wall Street already, and that's why it's so fucked up? That's why the whole capitalism thing. I feel
yeah,
like
I
I'm going into like a whole other episode here. We might have to table this thing for.
for capitalism, is it? I
Yeah.
mean, it's actually something I wanted to say. It's really scary if you think about it, that like the way our world works and the the boss. I mean, I'm not saying that all fucking big time corporations and all where the money is, everyone there is psychopathic or deals with psychopathy, but there are going to be handful of individuals that are skyrocketed into these positions because of that very nature. They can deal with this shit,
Right.
right? They don't have that remorse and that guilt and that shame, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm
um
saying. That's what I'm saying. Because they have these traits and they are propelled into positions of power within this industry, within this community, and that's why those underlying psychological fucked upness becomes ingrained in Wall Street itself, or becomes ingrained in the whole capitalist structure in itself, because the winners there have
Are the
these
ones who do
traits.
not
Yeah, so
yeah,
people are
care.
gonna see, they got to these places, and without knowing they are psychopaths or sociopaths, they want to get where they are. They strive to be where they are, and they kind of emulate those behaviors.
yeah,
And then
I
over
think,
time, it becomes part of their personality. Then it's like,
yeah,
oh
and,
shit,
and their culture. Yeah.
yeah.
And I think that's the really scary thing, to realize that a large part of our society, a large part of our world may actually be led by this very lack of empathy, this very lack of human connection and emotion.
People be crazier than crazy people.
Exactly, man. So yeah, so Guy, just now you mentioned about how these individuals are thrown into positions of power, and it's a whole structure or institution within. If these are the people we aspire to be, that's what breeds success. And it could be one of the personally lah, I feel that one of the reasons why depression rates are so high, as especially amongst kids and all that, is this lack of interpersonal relationships. Like, I mean, we sit down with each other, we can look at each other in the eye, we can just have conversations, we can have awkward silences, we can sip on our beer, stare at each other, and just not give a fuck.
Is that not a
But
thing? Is that not
it's
a
not a
thing
thing.
for some people?
It's not a thing anymore, man. Like, when I sit down and have a conversation with a kid, right? If they are ever talking to me about something serious and all that, the minute there's silence or they don't really know what to say, and we're both like, I'm obviously thinking about what the hell they just said to me and all of that, they can't even maintain eye contact for long. It goes right to the phone, it goes somewhere else. I feel that this whole lack of, yeah, interpersonal relationships is ultimately what leads to depression or dealing with these issues, because there's that lack of human connection and emotion.
I mean, I can only speak from my own experience, right? I guess that is to some extent also the reason why like this social isolation during the circuit breaker period is causing people to act out, right? Maybe.
Right,
Right.
right.
Yeah, I mean,
Speaking
maybe
of,
Yeah.
maybe through this whole ordeal or this whole episode, people will hopefully come to realize that some things are still better with a personal human touch.
Right.
And people after that will start to care more, especially when businesses, a lot of businesses are not doing well. It's
Right.
like, I don't think competing with each other over resources is not gonna be the way.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna fuck us up even more. And
there's this spread effect
yeah.
of
So I
how
think
many
the
families.
caring, and the sharing is gonna do us
Mm-hmm.
more good lah, more social good.
Yeah, Dixon, you mentioned acting up, right? And speaking of acting up, like TikTok, right? That shit blew up.
What?
This has linked, this lack of interpersonal relationships and that human contact. It kind
Oh,
of
the thing
links
that
up
I
to
sent
that.
you lah.
Yeah, the Vice
Right.
article. Remember that? Yeah.
Right.
Wait, on TikTok?
Yeah. Did you read the article?
No.
So there was a Vice article that was released from an interview with a psychologist, and the psychologist explores why
Why TikTok is so
why
popular, is it?
why there's a sudden spike in the popularity
During
of
this period.
TikTok. Yeah, during this period,
Okay.
and it kind of ties into this lack of personal relationships and this connection that we normally get. If I had a really funny week and I'm gonna sit down and meet all of you at a bar, I've got a couple of funny shit and funny stories that I want to tell you all about, and naturally there's gonna be laughs, there's gonna be a good time, right? It's always a good time with me. Okay, but that one's my own insecurity. Okay, but yeah. So the point is that
So you're saying that instead of that good time, people are replacing it with the likes and the shares and the
yeah.
comments.
Exactly. So that's what that's what I feel, and that's why I mentioned earlier also that social media is one of the things that are causing that spike in mental illnesses and all that, because the way we communicate with each other, and not to mention the fucking thing it does to our dopamine regulators lah, with the whole validation.
Every beat, every ping,
Yeah,
every
man.
like.
Right, just search of dopamine. Come, give me more. Give me the likes. Yeah, so it gets, that's the
Fucking crack
dopamine
cocaine,
side of
man.
it. Yeah, dude. Right, and minus away that whole shit, right? We still have this whole thing with the validation we get from our peers and people liking our videos, and the psychologist made a lot of sense when he or she, I don't know, talked about how TikTok is doing that for us. I feel that it's a slippery slope. Social media in general, it's like it's like validation through materialism. It's fake.
Uh,
It's things you put out there that may or may not be real, right?
influencer
And
life.
yeah, like it's a very specific portrayal of your life, and
Right.
if you deem happiness and validation from that, then fuck, man, that happiness and validation is also partially fake already.
Right.
you know
It's crazy. There are influencers out there, that just rent a luxury car, like a
Mhm.
Lambo or Ferrari, just for a couple of hours and like film the shit out of it just to portray an
That they
image
have
of
it.
success. And it's all fluff. It's all Hollywood movie magic.
Yeah, man. I think we don't only have to worry about the sociopaths and psychopaths governing our
But we have to
society.
worry about TikTok
The-
users.
the-
Yes, y'all crazy motherfuckers on TikTok. Also on TikTok lah. Fuck it lah.
okay, it's again back to the overused thing of the double-edged sword. It connects us, but it fucking alienates us from each other as well, because it's only an illusion of what your life is. And yeah, that's the whole alienating part of it lah. It's a fake thing. It's virtual. It doesn't represent who you truly are. And but at the same
there is
time,
definitely a filter.
yeah,
Mhm,
the dog face filter, is it? No. But at the same time, we are also constantly being updated, with like what is happening with everyone's lives. I think
Right.
that's the initial idea of it.
Like the draw, right? Like
or
trap.
the creator's intent.
Mm.
Whoever started it, that's the intent. And because that hasn't happened before, it's still a new thing, and we did not foresee what the negative impacts are until we have gone through this whole thing. and
Yeah.
people
100 years later, there'll be a study.
Yeah.
Speaking of social media, right, and the fact that we get this fake validation or fake lives and all that. One of the real dangers about anxiety also, or anxiety disorders, is that people who are having these panic attacks, people who are, they group it up into quite a few things. There's general anxiety disorder, you have panic, you have the social anxiety, you even have something extreme like agoraphobia, right, where you don't leave your house at all. And the problem with social media,
Isn't
or at
that
least
all of us now?
yeah, now sadly we are induced agoraphobia. But yeah, the dangerous thing about internet and social media is that it makes it really easy for you to just have that phobia, stay locked up, stay isolated, but have this image that you are connected because you're still aware about what's going on in the world. You can still communicate with people through your social media and your
Right.
internet,
It's a
but you're
very
not having
artificial
that.
thing.
Yeah, that's why you're not having that real outside healthy connection. I also found out that disorders usually happen, or anxiety disorders happen at our age, guys. 30,
At our
31.
age,
Yeah.
30,
Like
31.
30, 31 is the highest rate at which these disorders happen.
Like in
Because
Singapore?
this is when
Is it because of the body
I'm guessing
chemistry?
US lah, most of this.
Oh.
No, it's about the situations you are placed in. Because by the time you're 30, this is like bills need to be paid, house need to be paid for.
Right.
If you're getting married and all that, then now you have wife, kids to deal with, so the reality of existence now hits,
Right.
and it's no longer frat parties and cake stands and fucking getting smashed every night in our early 20s.
I
Yeah,
think
now it's the real shit.
it's a now what
Yeah.
phenomenon.
And so you're thrown into this real world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like at the end,
You're like,
you are past your educational stage, because throughout most of your life up to that point, you are in the education system. All you've known is, going through the system, exam after exam, getting grades, go on to the next level, and the end goal was, for most people, university. And then after that, going to work, then you're like, okay, now what?
Right.
And you even if you have a job already, you work in it in a few years, and some people see no progression in the career, then they are, okay, now what? I think, maybe it's a combination of all these.
Yeah, and on top of that, the societal pressure you have to deal with, right? Now, when you're gonna get married, right? When you're gonna have a kid, right? When you're gonna do this, when you're gonna do that, when you're gonna make your first million, right? It's all these shit that society expects from you. So yeah, people our age listening to this podcast, please go see a psychiatrist, get the help you need,
You are not
and
alone.
yeah, man, right? Just take care of yourself, right? And get the necessary help you need if you feel you need it.
Right.
Yeah, and it's also pretty costly when it comes to getting help for healthcare regarding mental health. And there are solutions out there. There are even online websites that you can go to, right, to get help. And there's neat little diagnostics that you can do, to see if you're dealing with too much.
Like self-test,
Yeah, self-test.
self-assessment.
Yeah, it's actually one of the sites that Gong Jiawei is following.
Is it a BuzzFeed quiz site?
No, it's definitely not a BuzzFeed quiz site. Fuck that. Forgot it.
BetterHelp?
Didn't I write it down? BetterHelp, is it?
Yes.
Yeah,
We
so
will
you
we
can.
will link it out. We will post something on Instagram, maybe on our story, on our Facebook, with direct links, so you can just click on it and go straight there and get help.
Yeah, and we'll put information about IMH as well, and how you can get help. And yeah, the online site is called BetterHelp. So yeah, get the help you need and stay
That's like
safe, everyone.
That's the one that's subsidized, or the ones on.
Which
on
one,
IMH?
BetterHelp?
No, the one on
IMH is the one that is subsidized.
shows all the subsidies. Okay.
Yeah, if you get referrals from like polyclinic doctors.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, take care of yourself, everyone. Yeah.
and I think mental wellness, mental illness, psychology, it's such a big domain, such a big topic that this episode is by no means an exhaustive podcast covering everything about it. And yeah, it's most likely going to be a recurring segment in our Gonging of the Jiaweis.
Definitely more stuff to talk about. For
Yeah.
sure.
So I mean, if you guys out there listening, you have any idea where we can steer this conversation towards? So voice it
Or
up, man.
any specific things you wanna hear?
Yeah. You know where we are. We are on Facebook. We are on Instagram. We are on what? Which is
On
like
Twitter.
no nothing going on there. And hopefully after this whole COVID thing, we can go live together on Twitch.
Yeah, and actually have that interpersonal connection.
Is this the end of the episode?
Yeah, I think
Yes.
we've come to the end.
All right. Thanks for staying throughout this whole show. It's been a long one.
Yeah, and thanks to our special guest this time.
Special.
Dixon.
SEL.
Thanks, dude. Thanks
Thank you, Dixon.
for coming on and jiaweing with us.
Yeah, don't be
Yeah.
sad anymore. Okay.
Okay.
Try my best.
Bye.
Bye.